Assalamu alaikum dear students of class 12. Let's continue our topic, that is chapter number 8, electrostatics. As in my previous video lecture, I have explained you the first application of the Gauss's law, that was electric field intensity due to uniformly charged spherical shell or hollow sphere. As in the last video lecture, I have explained you there are three applications of Gauss's law, and these are the second application as we have done with the first one. So inshallah, in today's video lecture I will explain you the second application of the Gauss's law, that is electric field intensity due to an infinitely long straight charged wire. And in the next video lecture, inshallah, I will explain you electric field due to a charged infinite plane sheet. So let's start with the second application of the Gauss's law. But before this, let's see what are the common steps involved in calculating electric field intensity by using Gauss's theorem. So, as the first step will be describe the charge distribution, whether it is linear, whether it is surface, whether it is volume. So, as the previous application, that was the surface charge density, and we will see which charge distribution will be there. Now the second step, obtain the flux by Gauss's theorem, and we will label that equation as A, as 1, we can say that. Then third, we have to visualize a Gaussian surface and justify it. And the fourth step, that with the help of the electric field intensity capital E as unknown, we will obtain electric flux by calculation using geometry of the structure and symmetry of the Gaussian surface, and we will label that equation as equation B or equation number 2. Then the last step will be, we will equate right hand side of the equation 1 or A and equation B or 2 and calculate final. We will calculate E, that is electric field intensity. Fine. So these are the common steps involved in calculating electric field intensity by using Gauss's theorem. If you keep remember these steps, so it will help you to solve the derivation. So let's start the derivation. So as we are deriving the second application of the Gauss's law, that is electric field intensity due to an infinitely long straight charged wire. So here we have to consider a uniformly charged wire of infinite length having a constant linear charge density lambda. That is charge per unit length. What is linear charge density? Charge per unit length. What is surface charge density? Charge per unit area. Fine. So here it is a cylindrical uniformly charged wire of infinite length. So here we will have a linear charge density. And what is linear charge density? That is charge per unit length kept in a medium of permittivity epsilon. And as we know that epsilon is equal to epsilon naught K, where small k is the dielectric constant and epsilon naught is a permittivity in free space. To find the electric field intensity at point P, as you can see in the diagram, a point P is highlighted at a distance of small r from the charged wire. As you can see, small r, yes. Imagine a coaxial Gaussian cylinder of length small l and radius small r, closed at each end by plane caps normal to the axis, passing through the point capital P Consider the very small area ds at the point P on the Gaussian surface. So as you can see, a small area ds is considered. By symmetry, the magnitude of the electric field will be the same at all the points on the curved surface of the cylinder and will be directed radially outward. The angle between the direction of vector of E and the normal of the surface of the cylinder, that is vector of ds, is 0. See, you can see the electric field intensity capital E and normal drawn on the surface ds. So both is having the same direction. That's mean angle between these both will be 0 because both are in the align in the same direction. So angle between them is 0. And as according to Gauss's law, we know that it is actual flux is equal to closed integral of E dot ds. See, it is a dot product. So which component will be there if you take the magnitude? Yes, cos theta will be there. So okay, fine. What you have to remember, you have to recall the Gauss's law. What is Gauss's law? See, flux is nothing but Q upon epsilon naught, and according to Gauss's law, this flux or Q upon epsilon naught is equal to closed integral of vector of E dot vector of ds, where vector of E is the electric field intensity and vector of ds is the area. And we know that flux is nothing but intensity into area. So this is the Gauss's law, and we will label this as equation number 1. So you have to keep remember equation number 1 always. Fine. Now, as we know that the angle between E and ds is 0, that is cos theta is 0. Theta is 0, so cos theta is equal, cos 0 is equal to 1. Fine. Now, as we know that the right hand side of the first equation is nothing but E dot ds, vector of E dot vector of ds, and when we take the magnitude of that part, so it will be E ds cos theta, and as we know that cos theta is 1, so finally it will be E ds only. Fine, product of E ds only. Now d phi through a area ds is equal to E ds. Now d phi, ds is the small area, so d phi will be the small flux and it is equal to E ds. Thus the total flux through the Gaussian surface, it will be phi, and according to Gauss's law, this phi is nothing but closed integral of vector of E dot vector of ds. Now as we have just obtained the vector of E dot vector of ds is nothing but EDS, so we will put this value. So E is the electric field intensity, it will be common throughout the surface, so it will be taken out from the integral sign. What is the remaining term inside the closed integration? It is nothing but ds. Now what is ds? It is the area, and here we are having the linear part. So area of the cylinder is nothing but 2 pi r L. So finally flux is equal to E dot 2 pi r L. Now label this as equation number 2 or B, as in the steps, in the common steps involved in calculating electric field intensity, this equation was nothing but B. So we will going to consider it as equation number 2. So we are having equation number A or 1 with us. Now we are having equation number B or 2 with us. What we have to do, the next step, it is nothing but we have to equate the equations. Okay, so here from equation number 1 and 2, what finally we can conclude that Q upon epsilon naught is equal to E 2 pi r L. Now label this as equation number 3. But since lambda is the linear charge density, and as I have explained you, the linear charge density is nothing but charge per unit length, and the length of this wire is nothing but considered as small l, that is lambda is equal to Q upon small l. So what should be Q? So according to this equation, we can have Q is equal to lambda into L. Fine. Now So equation 3 becomes, instead of Q, what we can write? Lambda into L. So therefore lambda into L upon epsilon naught is equal to E2 pi RL. The right hand side will remain same. So finally we can have E is equal to lambda, see L will cancel, so the remaining term is nothing but lambda upon 2 pi epsilon naught R. This is the final expression, or this is the final formula for electric field intensity due to an infinitely long straight charged wire, and we will label this as equation number 4. So these are the common steps of application of Gauss's law to find or to calculate electric field intensities. Fine. Now after this, let's have one example. Before this example, we are having one more thing. See, this is the direction of the field for two types of the charges. The direction of the electric field E is directed outward if lambda is positive and inward if lambda is negative. See, if the charge density is positive, so electric field intensity is directed outward. If charge density is negative, so electric field intensity will be inward. Now let's have one example. The length of the straight thin wire is 2 meter. It is uniformly charged with a positive charge of 3 microcoulomb. Calculate, number 1, the charge density of the wire. Number 2, the electric intensity due to wire at a point 1.5 meter away from the center of the wire. So here we have to calculate two things, and we have been given the length of a thin wire is 2 meter, uniformly charged with a positive charge of 3 microcoulomb. So let's start solving this numerical. So first of all, what we have to write the solution. No, solution is that first is what we have to write the datas, and these datas are, first of all, charge Q is given, that is 3 microcoulomb, that is 3 micro stand for 10 raised to of minus 6. So this is 3 into 10 raised to of minus 6 coulomb. Length is given as 2 meter, and the radius, the electric field intensity due to wire at a point 1.5. So radius is also given, that is 1.5 meter. As it is given in SI units, we don't have to change it. So these are the given or data. Now let's see, the first is what we have to find the charge density of the wire. Now charge density, that is given as lambda, because it is a cylinder or a linear long infinite wire. So we are having a charge density as a linear charge density, and as we know that the linear charge density is nothing but the charge per unit length. So we are having charge with us, we are having length with us. So when we substitute all these values, that is 3 into 10 raised to of minus 6 upon 2. So finally we can have charge density lambda as 1.5 into 10 raised to of minus 6 coulomb per meter. Then the next is what we have to find the electric intensity due to the wire at a point 1.5 meter away from the center of the wire. So here we have to find E now. So as we know that the final formula for the E is nothing but lambda upon 2 pi epsilon naught R. Now just now we have done lambda, we are having the value of lambda. Now 2 pi is given as 3.142, epsilon is itself is 8.85 into 10 raised to of minus 12, and R is given as 1.5. So finally if we calculate, if we substitute all this value and with the help of the log, if we calculate all these things, so finally we can have electric field intensity E as 1.798 into 10 raised to of minus 4 Newton per coulomb. So this is one of the application of the derivation that just now we have derived. So hope you will understand. and how to use these formulas in the numerical part. This is the simple explanation of that. So let's stop here.